In this video, we will learn how to find inverse matrix using properties. There are several properties of inverse matrix. The first one, the inverse of A is just a matrix A. And this is obvious since we know that if A is multiplied with its inverse is equals to identity. And we know that everything that multiply with its inverse and become identity is just the inverse of the other one. So that means A is the inverse for the inverse of A, and inverse of A is just an inverse of A. Alright, so that is the first properties. The second properties is the inverse of A transpose is just the inverse of A transpose. The third properties is AB inverse is equals to B inverse times A inverse. So that means if we know A inverse and B inverse, so if you want to find AB inverse, we don't have to do the multiplication. We just take the inverse of B times the inverse of A. And please note that the order is changed. If here is AB, so the inverse is B inverse times A inverse. So it's B inverse times A inverse. In other way, if we want to find the B A inverse, okay, so this is A inverse times B inverse. So you can see the order is changed when we want to find the multiplicative inverse. The fourth property is the determinant for the inverse is just 1 over determinant of A. Alright, the fifth properties, this is the most important one. Alright, so if we know that A times B is equals to B times A equals to I, okay, that's mean B is the inverse of A, and also A is the inverse of B. So if we have A times B is equals to alpha I, okay, it's not I but alpha I. This means there is a scalar multiplied with the identity. So this is also means it already multiplied with its inverse, but not the real one because it missing the 1 over alpha. So then if we have A times B equals to alpha I, that means A inverse is 1 over alpha B, or B inverse is 1 over alpha A. Alright, so to understand this, we're going to discuss some example here. So we have an example here. Alright, so given the matrix A with the element 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 7, and the matrix B with the element 1, 1, negative 1, negative 10, 4, 2, 7, negative 3, negative 1. Alright, so there is matrix A and B. It is known that A times B is equals to Ki, where K is a constant and I is a 3 by 3 identity matrix. So the question is, find the value of K and hence deduce the A inverse. Alright, so for these questions, right, so we have A times B is equals to Ki. So A times B is equals to Ki. Alright, so that's mean if we multiply A and B, we're going to get K times the identity. Right, so A is 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 7, and this one is 1, 1, negative 1, negative 10, 4, 2, 7, negative 3, negative 1. And the identity for 3 by 3 matrix is 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 1. Alright, so the question is we need to find the value of K here. Alright, so we need to find this value K. Alright, so here if we multiply the constant into the identity, we get this. We get K0, 0, 0, K0, 0, K0, 0, 0, K. Alright, so if we multiply A and B, we're going to get this matrix K00, 0K0, 00K of this is Ki. Alright, so to make things easy, we don't have to multiply all A and B because it's a very long word. So what we can do is we just find the corresponding element here. Let's say we want to find the K here. Right, so because there is a value K. So how do we get this value K here? K here is just a product of this row and this column. Alright, so we just multiply these two columns, this row, the first row, and the first column for the matrix. The first row for the matrix A and the first column for the matrix B. So we will get the value of K. So we doesn't have to do the A times B in a complete multiplication that will take a very long time. But if you want to multiply, it's up to you. You can do it. Alright, so for this question, I will do it the simple way. Alright, so we know that we want to find the value K here. So K is equals to first row times the first column. So how to multiply this? The first one is 1 times 1 here. So we have 1 times 1 plus the second one is 2 times negative 10. So we have 2 times negative 10 plus, and the last element is 3 times 7. So we get 3 times 7. So if we simplify this, we will get the value of K. So we have 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times negative 10 is negative 20, and 3 times 7 is positive 21. And if we simplify this, we get 2. So K is equals to 2. Alright, so we get the value of K. Alright, so we finish with the first question, find the value of K. Alright, hence deduce A inverse. Alright, so the next part is to find the A inverse. So we doesn't need to use the adjoint or ERO since we have a word hence here. When the question have the word hence, that means we need to use the information that we have before and from the previous question or the previous part of the question. So we know that the previous part we get K is equals to 2. That means if we substitute back to the equation that we have before, so A times B is equals to 2i. And wait, do you remember this thing? Yes, this is a properties for the inverse matrix. If we have A times B is equals to alpha I, so if we want to find A inverse, it is just 1 over 2 times B. Alright, so we use the properties. Alright, so now we can find A inverse. So A inverse is 1 over 2 times B. So the matrix B, 1, 1, negative 1, negative 10, negative 10, 4, 2, 7, negative 3, negative 1. And then we multiply each element with 1 over 2. So we get 1 over 2, 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2. And this one is negative 5. This one become 2. And this one become 1. This is 7 over 2, negative 3 over 2, and this is negative 1 over 2. Alright, so this is A inverse that we want. So we get the answer. Alright, so for finding inverse using properties, we doesn't have to use adjoint or ERO. We just use properties. Alright, so we're going to continue in the next video.